by the temple. And then he put it back, and when I came in, he said he had a headache. I said, what happened there? He said, the dog did it. And that's his dog, the dog. He said, the dog did it. And I know that it's not the dog, it's all of them. Yeah, I know what he was. I couldn't figure out how little dogs would hurt somebody, but it was the big dog that hurt him. And they did exactly the same thing last night, knocked me right out of bed.
In the early morning hours of September 26, 2021, James Clement accompanied his longtime roommate, 92-year-old Ralph Sherman, in an ambulance and into the ER in Iron River, Michigan. Ralph was unresponsive, but still breathing. Clement told hospital staff the dog had hit him in the temple. He also said Ralph might have bumped his head on the car while he was trying to lift him in. But the doctors weren't buying it. They found a massive brain bleed on the left side of Ralph's skull. They found bruises on his face, on his neck, on his arms, legs, and torso. And not all of it was fresh. According to James, it was all just bad luck. He blamed it on the dogs. There were 5 or 6 living at the house with them. He blamed it on a blood thinner medication.
Okay. Yeah, but the doctor said it was a brain bleed, and that could even happen from when you're on that, whatever that blood thinner. Okay. Mm-hmm.
He blamed it on a lamp.
The lamp fell over and hit him in the head. That's what happened.
So the lamp fell over and hit him in the head?
That's why that was there.
But Ralph's wife and family said otherwise. They said he had called them before, crying. They said James was drunk, violent, controlling, that he dumped ice water on Ralph in his wheelchair just to watch him gasp for air. They also said James wasn't Ralph's caretaker, that they had a different kind of relationship, and now Ralph was dead. What happens next unfolds over the course of the next 7 months as police try to piece together what went wrong and sift through the fire hose of information spewing from Clement's mouth as he manically pieces together a story that is unraveling while he's telling it. We'll start with the day after Ralph's death, September 27th, after the police spoke with Clement the day before at his residence. Clement comes into the police station on his own, trying to explain what happened that fateful night and convince investigators that he had done nothing wrong. In his own head, his story makes sense, but the police are perplexed, to say the least.
And he said, well, first of all, he says, push the lamp back, and it's unplugged. Would you put it? He said, the dogs did it to him. The dog and the cat. Well, I couldn't find my phone. When I found it, it's full of urine.
I have a seat right here.
So I'll tell you, now I know what he meant by that. He reaches up to his cat, feeds his cat right here, and then the lamp is here and his bed is here. So his head's over here, but he reaches up with this hand to turn it on. Well, apparently, because I know what those dogs do, they chase each other, but the cat probably thought he was going to give him food, so she ran, and that's why he asked me to fix the lamp fell over and hit him in the head. That's what happened.
So the lamp fell over and hit him in the head?
That's why that was there. I can't remember what side it was on, but he was apparently trying to get, I think it was on this side.
So what time was that?
And I said, that was about 7 o'clock. And I asked him, do you want to go to the doctors? He said, no, it's just a little bump. I said, well, I don't know. And then I think that's what caused that brain bleed, because it was right in by the temple. Did you see that there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and lifting him, because I have bad hands now from a artery cut and I got cellulitis, I have to pick him up like that to put him in the car, so wherever you touch him, he gets black and blue. His dogs jump on him, he's black and blue. In fact, he laughed about it yesterday. He says, I look like I went through World War II. We laughed about it last week, but I said, oh my God, he's a big man. And so that's when I found out his urinal was under the bed, and when he told me to fix his lamp.
Okay, Jim, so just here, you're kind of jumping all over, so can you just start at whenever this first thing happened?
Okay, I went out.
And then go until until you got to the car.
Yeah, I went outside at about 6 o'clock, 6:30. We got home, maybe 7. It was a little later, and because I don't keep time. And I got him out of the car. We delivered some of the animals at the farm that we gave away because we were getting rid of all of them. and which it should have been done a long time ago. But we had no place to put them. Nobody wanted them. So I said, I'm going to go outside and let the dogs out. So I had to take them individually. And when I said, he said, I'm kind of hungry. So he said, I'll cook for you when I get in. So I came in, and then I was out with the dogs for about a half hour. And then I came in and I said to him, he said, I got a little headache. And I said, a headache? He said, yeah. And I said, oh my gosh, what happened here? It must have just happened. He said, oh, the dog and the cat did. The animals were running, or the dogs and the cats were running. And I said, oh, really? He said, oh, but by the way, you have to plug my lamp in. I pushed the lamp up back, but I can't get it all the way. You know, it was still over the edge. And I couldn't figure out where that came from. I didn't think a dog, if it stepped on him, would make that mark. But it was just a mark, but then it got bigger. I didn't know it was bigger like that until I found him. I put him in bed. He wasn't hungry. Give me a nitrode. My arm is hurting. So I said, okay, so you want to go to the doctors? I'll get you to the doctors. I'll drive you there. The emergency room, he said, no, it's all right. I just won't eat. Just give me a couple aspirins, and which I probably shouldn't have, because aspirins are thinners, but that's all I had in the house. And I said, okay, and I gave him that, and then he went and laid down. And then I said, I'll come back with you later. Well, then I woke him up, and he said, no, I don't want to, just let me sleep. And that's the last. He told me he loved me, and that this was the best home he ever had. That's what he said. And then he reached out, and I reached out to him, and then he turned around and went to sleep. And then, I don't know if it's a couple hours later, because I was trying to work outside and inside the house, because we're going to be remodeling. I'm taking all the stoves and stuff out. I went back to see him, and he looked like he was just sleeping and snoring. And I said, Ralph, wake up. And I went like this, wake up, Ralph. And he wouldn't wake up. So I went like this, Ralph, come on, wake up. And he still wouldn't wake up. So I went like this, Ralph, wake up. And he wouldn't, no response. So then I got panicked. So I went to get my phone. I couldn't find it. And then I found it under the bed, but it would work. And I thought, what happened here? And then I went out to get his phone, but it wasn't charged. And I plugged it in, and then I thought, well, I can't wait this long. So I tried to put him in a chair and take him out. Well, then he's like unbelievable heavy, and I'm kind of crippled, you know? So I got him into the wheelchair, and he kind of slid down off it again onto the floor, but I was able to slide him down and then get him up. And then I got him out to the car, and then his leg, because I couldn't do anything, got caught a little bit in the wheelchair wheel, and I had to pull that up and get his foot out. So then I tried to put him in the car. Well, that's almost impossible. Like I do with him, he has to be pulled up, and you know, and then there was no response. He was so heavy that he kind of went down again, and he went up against the car, but that was there. Then it got a little bit more swollen there. Okay. But that's how that happened. And then I called the ambulance because his phone would work, and then they came. Okay. But I just want to know if that's what it was, if I would have brought him immediately. He said, no, he wouldn't go. You can't make somebody go. That's his right. Normally I do make him go, and then I get hollered at for it, that you can't tell him what to do by the family. Well, I can't tell him. So
Jimmy, I just wanted to tell you, you started talking right away, but you know, you're free to go at any time you want, okay? You wanted to talk to me, so.
At this point, the officers don't need to say much. Clement is doing the work for them. He's talking in circles, offering up details no one asked for, weaving timelines that no one challenged. This kind of over-explaining isn't unusual, especially for someone trying to get ahead of a story they know is about to unravel. So the officers let him keep talking. As the hours pass, Clement's stories will start to buckle under their own weight. The contradictions will pile up, and slowly, the man doing all the explaining will begin to fall apart himself. We've already seen in Part 1 that Jimmy Clement and Ralph Sherman's relationship was questionable. Were they lovers? Were they just good friends? How abusive was the relationship, really? And was Ralph really being exploited by his wife, who, according to Clement, he hated and only married for insurance purposes?
Want to know? I want to know what happened to Ralph. I
Yep.
really do.
So do we.
And you know something? I am his. I was his lover, but not his sex lover. Does that make sense? It wasn't a gay thing. I was his lover. He treated me as if I was his wife, actually. And I keep telling him I'm not your wife, but he said, I'm not. I just love you, Ralph. We're soulmates. We came to help each other. I saved you from them leaving you in the nursing home, and he tried to commit suicide there a few times. So I've brought him back to life over probably 100 times in 6 years. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
No, I don't want this ever repeated. He married Fran to give her his insurance.
Okay.
And when he broke his leg, she threw him in the nursing home and forgot him. He took all his stuff. Okay. And he said that every day of his life. Well, I brought them all back together. His son lives in Appleton, or wherever he lives, down by Appleton. And he turned around and they just left him. It was so sad. How can you treat your people like that?
So he married Fran for insurance, you said?
Yeah, she wants his insurance. She gets all his beneficial. I get nothing.
But back to the police station interview, where he alludes to the same dynamic.
I don't know what happened. He was kind of upset. Oh, I don't know. He was upset with his family, not me. He gets upset with his family. He remembers.
Well, you had mentioned that you told him you had to get rid of his animals.
I did.
Okay.
But he knew that. And that's probably what upset him. He was going to, but I can't keep farm animals there. I can't. I live in city limits. And I apologized and I said, oh. And then when we were going into the house, he was already upset with the neighbors. So saw one of the neighbors and I said hi and he snubbed me. And he said, that's terrible. And he went in the house and then when I came in, but he had the chest pain, but the headache and the arm apparently was from this, or when the lamp must have hit him. And now I see that's what it is.
Did you see the lamp hit him?
All I know is he told me that I said, what's this mark here? He said, oh, the dogs did this. He said, oh, by the way, plug the lamp back in. I pushed the lamp up just so far, but you have to push it the rest of the way. So that's when I remember now that he said that. And that just, when I look now and I see where that is and where that is, that's what happened. And I was just out of the house for a few minutes. I run back and forth, so careful, just one time.
So why didn't you call 911 right away?
He didn't want me to. I'm fine. I'm not going to the hospital. This is my home. I can't make him.
Right.
His wife said to me when I took her out for dinner, Ralph, now please eat. This is your birthday. You got it. I gave you your medication. You got it. So it wasn't real strong. It was Pavlik or whatever it's called. And my sister said the same thing. If someone even bumps you, you could die. Mm-hmm. She's on that right now. If someone even touched her in the head, she could die. She could get a brain bleed. So I know this, but I still miss him so bad, and I'm trying to find out if I could have done something. The doctor I know he's going to say, no, you couldn't, because once that brain, he's too old to have anything done. But if I always believe in a chance. I told him, why don't you, is there a way to drain it or something? Oh no, he's too old. There's no figure of life too much. He's 92 years old. Well, I get told that for 6 years with him, and I take him to another place and get him well again. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a value of life. I think that's terrible.
Yeah,
but he's my best buddy.
I think it was
just so confused. I just don't know. But now I know what happened because he told me also to wash his sheets. My urinal fell on the so then I know that the lamp went off and went on my phone, ruined my phone because there's a little tray there for him so he can get his water and I have always stuff there for bananas and every day. Mm-hmm. It's his potassium, all that. Horrible to live like this. I am so. And I'm always afraid of the family because they're kind of different. And yet I love them all. They're different. They blame each other, they blame everybody else, but I'm not even a family member. They didn't want me to take them in the first place. They wanted to keep them in the nursing home in the beginning.
So when you wanted to get him to the hospital,
he absolutely refused, and he got really upset.
No. I'm talking when he was unresponsive.
Yeah.
What, was he in bed?
He was in bed. He had slept for a couple hours.
So just walk me through real quick about from the time he was in bed and you decided to get him to the hospital, what all happened on the way to the car?
Once again, Clement dives into his story about taking Ralph out of the house the night of his death. As he's given a similar version of what he just said earlier, he gets a phone call from who he first says is a doctor. But it turns out to be someone who is very much not a doctor. It kicks off a bizarre double interview where the officer is letting Clement give another version of the story to the so-called doctor on the phone.
That is,
How were you able, because it didn't look like there was a lot of room right there. How were you able to
I took him
to
down, I took
maneuver him
down
around and get the door open to the
backwards.
car?
Backwards.
Okay,
I take him backwards.
okay.
I'm used to
That's probably a lot easier, hey?
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's why his shoes fell off.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought this might be the doctor to find out where this is. Oh, here. If it is the doctor, can I talk to him and you can listen? Hello? Hello? Oh, I have to do this. Hello? Hi, is this Peggy? Oh, I'm doing a little bit better. I can hardly talk. My throat's so sore from crying so much and throwing up. But I'm here at the sheriff's department because I figured out what happened, Peg. He reached up to get his lamp because he told me the dogs and the cat ran, which they do that, and apparently must have knocked it over and hit him in the head, right by the temple. And then he put it back, and when I came in, he said he had a headache. I said, what happened there? He said, the dogs did it. And he said, but my lamp, I didn't get it all the way up. Well, I wasn't knowing what he's talking about, so then he said, you have to plug it back in. So I pushed the lamp back, and he said, he said, I'm not hungry now, I'll just go lay down and wait a while. And that's what, now I know at peace, but I have to be at peace when that doctor calls me and tells me he refused to go to the doctors at that moment, the hospital. Said I have no right to tell him. And so I don't know how to handle that because his family tells me that I can't tell him what to do. That's his right. So I was in a spot. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. I've lived this for 6 years. You know what I had to put up with families. Yeah, right now, and he's so nice. Yeah. Yes, because I finally figured out what happened. Then the doctor's supposed to call me and let me know. But I think if there's a brain bleed, they said that there's really is no, Laura Lee, who's under that condition, that she could have that, told me, that's my sister,
Oh.
Laura. And she had a car accident, and that's what happened with her. She's on
Okay.
blood thinners. So anyway, she said to me, even if you do anything, once there's a brain bleed in the, because it was by the temple, I think. I didn't really look at that, I was too startled, too confused. And so then she said that, and the doctors, that when I asked the main doctor there, the surgeon, he said there's nothing anybody can do if there's a brain bleed. Because, I'm gonna lose my voice, because once it spreads through the brain, it's already there, and they can't do surgery to stop it. So I really know, but I still have to know. I still have to know if I could have done something. I have to know, and if I didn't do it right, then I know it's God's done, but I gotta find an answer for peace for me. Okay? I won't ever have peace. I can't stand it. That house. Okay? I'm gonna redo it and then sell it. I can't take it. Can't take it. I'm so used to like a robot. Every 5 minutes coming in and okay, I love you, Peg. Thank you. I will. Love you, Peg. Yeah, bye-bye. You know how concerned and how good I am.
Who is that?
That was my sister Margaret.
Oh.
She's a teacher in Lower Michigan. My other one does nurses.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brother actually is a you probably worked with Billy. Clement.
Mm-hmm.
He's the epileptic that's always having accidents on his moped.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He can't help that.
Yep.
He's got brain, they have to realize he's not normal. He's got brain damage, so they don't function right. So when just before he has a seizure, he turns into a whole horrible person.
So is there anything else you want me to know about what happened that night?
I just had to tell you because I was trying to figure this out, and then when I found all the stuff under his bed, why he had me wash his sheets, I had to wash those and put new ones on him. We did that too, in between. I put new sheets in, then he said he was cold, and I put a quilt on him. So that's how it was. And then the last thing he said to me was, reached up and says, I love you and thank you for a wonderful home. I really loved it. And then he never woke up after that, apparently because he was sleeping by the time that had already. I really think it was such a bleed that it probably was within 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They can't operate because he's too old. So sad, so sad.
So was his sister on the phone, and for some reason, he's talking to her almost exactly like he's been talking to the police officers, as if he's trying to reinforce his story via a third party. Soon after, Clement is once again waxing about how he takes on people's sorrows, and how selfless he is, and how he cares for others to the detriment of his own health. But soon, we will see the officers start to question his story, and this is where the dogs fully enter the picture.
Everybody's sorrows I take on. I take it to my heart, and if I don't succeed in doing something, then I feel like it's, oh my God, maybe I should have taken him to my house 6 years ago and left him there, but he would have been dead. He was really bad shape. And
That's a pretty big undertaking to just take somebody into your home.
It was horrible, horrible. And then he became...
What was every day like?
Every day, it was all, I couldn't come out of his sight. I couldn't do this. He was always afraid that someone would abandon him. This is psychological, very smart, but very, very hard but I liked doing that. So it wasn't a problem. I didn't want to be away from him. I worry about him if I go for a little bit. So I get me a glass of water, get me this, I want this. Jim, would you put the TV on, find a good channel for me? So I served him.
So you really never left his side?
No, ever, just this one dumpling.
Where were you?
Outside with the dogs.
Oh, okay.
We just got home.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the dogs got to go out too. So.
And I can't let him. And then when I went to get him out, one of his little dogs took off, his Pomeranians, got out through a little door. So I had to chase him down the highway, so then I run in, so I was out for a little bit longer, maybe another 5 minutes before I caught her. So I was only going to be 15 minutes, and it ended up 20 with all the 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing.
Well,
and we shouldn't have had those animals.
But how did the dogs knock the lamp over if they were outside with you?
Well, we have a couch, But I take him in sections.
Oh.
He's got a kitten named Emma. I took out Scotty and Annie first. And then I could sit out, and then I brought them back in, and then I took the Akita out. We let Akita, put her on her chain, and then I had to wait until she was done, and then I take the two little Pomeranians in my hand out. Well, Scotty and Anna are absolutely in love with Emma, the cat. They play all day long, and the couches, in my house, the couch is here, and then I put a dresser for Ralph, and I made like a bedroom, so he has a full-size bed there, and then of course these TVs on the wall, and everything is there for him. And so anyway, the cats always, and the dog, when they see him put his hands up, what she does is they run across, chase each other over the dresser, and his lamp is on the edge. There, his urinal is here, and of course the picture window behind. But I know that's what happened, where that came from. I couldn't figure out how could a dog make such a thing. They're not that heavy, but I know now because he told me to push the lamp the rest of the way back, and everything was on the floor, and his bed was. So I know they must have hit that.
So what dog were you outside with when this happened?
I had the two little Pomeranians.
Okay, so what dog was inside?
The inside was Annie, Scotty, and Annie, Scotty, and the Akita. I just brought the Akita in. He told me that. And then I went out with the little dogs then.
Okay.
And this happened sometime in between there, because I didn't see him. I just grabbed the dog. When I came in, I saw that. I said, Ralph, I'm sorry it was so late. I'll get you dinner right now. And then he said, well, you don't have to bother. I've got kind of a headache. And
what kind of lamp is it? It must be.
It's about this tall, and it's not about that tall, and it's got a metal frame that comes up, and then a glass ball, and then goes into that brass that comes up, and then the lamp was about this tall, but it was perfect for his long arms to reach over. He asked me for a different lamp about 6 months ago, and he loved this lamp. but it's a heavy lamp. So that's how that mark, it didn't look like a mark of a dog. I couldn't figure it out. And I figured it out this morning, and I was so much at peace to figure out what.
What part of the lamp you think hit him?
Oh, the glass hit him. The glass in the brass, because it's in between.
Oh.
Yeah, because there's legs on it, and then there's brass, and then that white thing there. And like I said, everything that he said to me tells push the lamp back, it's unplugged. It got unplugged, the dogs.
So was he laying in the bed, or was he sitting in a chair when
it
it
up to
happened?
the bed, and he lays this way, and then and the dresser's right here, so his head would be right here with his pillows, because I have them up.
Okay.
So when he's reaching up, I really do think the cat thought she was going to feed her, because I was going to feed him when I get in. And that's what I told him, I'll feed your cat when I get in. And he has his little tray there so he can watch, and he feeds his baby, which is good entertainment for him. But as soon as he does that, I know how she runs, and I would probably think it was Scotty that was behind him, because those two are into everything. You know, and he didn't care, he loved those, he bought those dogs, those are his.
Did the cat and Scotty go up on the dresser often, or?
Just once in a while when they're playing, they go into the, and they even knocked the curtain down this time. I see that. When I got today, I see the curtains down. So they go in, when we're gone, they sit in the big picture window out there, and then they come around, and sometimes they go this way out on the other side of the bed, his bed, or they come around this way, or run from down on the floor and jump on the couch, and if they're right next, there's nothing between, they can just run right up. Because they're excited to see him. They love him. His animals loved him. In fact, it's horrible. His dogs are looking for him. That little cat keeps crying. You know, that's really sad. It's a sad thing. But I just didn't know when they came yesterday to ask me what happened. I couldn't even think. I was already kind of hysterical. So I couldn't cry at first, and now I can't stop. Before that, I threw up. And I'm throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. I had no desire to eat. I could care if I fade away. Because I lost my best friend.
I'm sorry.
And you guys are, well, I hope you didn't have to go through that. And this is like 13 times for me to start over again in my lifetime, from fires and sickness. I took care of terminal illness up in Ralph for over 40 years. Raised the children.
So it's going to take some time, but the medical examiner is sending Ralph for a post, so they're going to do an autopsy on him and see if they can determine, you know,
what caused that.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna try to see.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't know, and they could see that lamp fell on him.
So before they do that, though, they want to get your side. They want to know what happened. So if you want to take these home, this is just a statement form. And just start at the beginning and write.
Yes, Ralph and I got along good.
No, I'm not saying that.
Did that too?
No, not at all.
That same day, officers pay a visit to Clement's home. He tells them a similar version of the story he just told and shows them the lamp, which they take as evidence. A few days later, on October 1st, Clement goes back to the police station to give yet another statement. This time, the officer asked him to draw a floor plan of his house and describe how the animals were moving around and how Ralph was injured by the dogs, as Clement had described multiple times before over the course of the past few days. It continues to be a chaotic mess of explanations that Clement himself can't seem to organize.
And then they come, well, they go around. Where's this now? What is this? I don't know what that is.
That you just drew the circle, like showing me where the dogs run in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
That's the kitchen, you said.
They run around, they go here, they go over to the other table in the kitchen, they come around, and the cat is loving it. They're fighting. The cat stands on top of the Akita's head. It's really adorable, but
Sounds
it's not
like...
adorable anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's not adorable. That's terrible, because I plan to be with Ralph for the next maybe 6 years, and we had plans. We bought paint. We haven't been able to do it because we had to get this stuff out.
How long were you guys living in this house? I know.
Just our house burned down in October of 19.
So about 2 years?
No, it's not even been 8 years. Well, yeah.
Well, it's October 1st today of 2021, so did you move into this house right after your house burned down?
No, we moved there in January.
Okay.
January of 2000, wouldn't that be?
Yep. Yep.
So what are we, a year and 6 months?
A year and 6 months.
I don't know. But anyway, this is what happens. They
Okay.
go around and round and round, but I'm not gonna do all that.
No, yeah,
They come up and over the couch.
Yep, this
And-
helps me understand, because like I said, I was obviously not in your house yesterday, and I've never been in there, so.
And I don't know, I'm getting to the point where, I told you I was afraid of those people, because Ralph said that they are
Who are those people?
Ralph's family.
Oh.
They didn't have nothing to do with them. They call once a year.
Have you had contact with them
Oh, I
since?
love them.
No, like, I know yesterday you said they
I
would.
tried
they
to
would-
call her, but I think it's because maybe nobody told them not to call me, did they? No, Fran is that way. Fran is all she was worried about when he almost died during my fire, when my sister and I saved him. If you want to talk to somebody, you talk to my sister. She says, how can you be kind to those people? How can you do this? The other day when I said to her, look at those bruises, she won't say that. I said, and then I said, Ralph only wanted a salad for his birthday. I said, Ralph, you're gonna eat something. I took her to dinner with us.
Okay.
We were getting along. We get along. I don't fight with them, but don't cross them. They're mean. So anyway, I don't want that repeated, because if after this over, we're friends. I would do anything for her. I bought her food. I bought her presents, made her feel like a lady. She calls me every day and she says, Jim, it's just a pleasure to know a person that's as kind and good as you to Ralph. And all of a sudden, all this happens.
Okay.
You know, but if you went during the fire thing, I came up there to stop them because they were going to ask Ralph to turn off or not do anything for him. And I came in there, now I'm calm. I took that Benadryl. I went in there and they said, they made me sit in the hall. And then Ralph said, no, Jim can come in here. So I sat in Somerset and they were just sitting there. So then I went over there to give him some water. I said, Ralph, because I'm like a doctor, nurse, you gotta have some water here. You gotta drink this, Ralph, for your strength. You're gonna dehydrate. He don't have to take anything. He don't have to do anything. You can't tell him what to do.
And when was this? When he was in the hospital?
The hospital over when he had his. They thought he had a heart attack.
Okay.
And I told him he had gallbladder because I have a medical background. So
Okay.
you know, I have a medical background in working in nursing homes and hospital as an orderly.
Okay.
I went to school to be a veterinarian.
Gotcha.
Kind of the same, but you
Yeah.
don't learn that. I was in the beginning.
Right.
The chemistry part.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
And then I became I have attention deficit, so I'm an A student one day and forget the next.
Yeah,
That's
right.
why this is coming back to me now, because I forget, because it's just been so confusing.
Sure.
And I'm trying to get this house done and trying to get it cleaned. I couldn't do anything for the last, because I can't walk.
Right.
Couldn't use my hands.
Well, then you gotta take care of Ralph too.
Yes,
so.
and that came first. I don't care about it, no matter how much it hurt.
Mhm.
So anyway, they run around, and she's done this before, but she missed them. She got me yesterday when they did that.
So you were in the same spot yesterday
Yes.
on the bed?
Yes, so he apparently was sitting up when that happened. Okay? And I didn't know, because he said he had to pee. They didn't take his pee urinal because he couldn't use the urinal because it kept tipping.
Okay.
He's got to pee in bed.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was that ice cream thing or whatever it was there. Do they want that? That's his
I don't-
urinal.
Okay, I doubt
That
it.
went under the floor.
Okay.
And so anyway, so this is where they go, and then she gets in this bed with them, and no matter who's in their way, she doesn't realize it. It's like she's so blinded. She got a chest this big. You would believe to try to hold her down is horrible, and that's what happened. She's done it before, but she jumped over him. This time, she hit him.
Okay.
But it was playing.
What time of the day did that happen when he
I
got
don't
hit?
know. I was outside when we came home. We were kind of upset about hitting the deer. He said, "You know something?" That's when he said to me about why do you have look at we almost hit that deer because of them. They really don't. I'm just pretending to be nice.
Who is them?
He said that. His wife.
Okay.
He mentions the deer they almost hit. A few days earlier, while police were questioning him outside his home, he brings this up as another excuse for why Ralph would have had bruising on his body. Clement blamed it on the fast deceleration of his car as he hit the brakes and narrowly missed the animal. But was it just another convenient lie he was weaving into his growing web of stories? He soon goes back to implicate Ralph's family.
That's what he said, but I don't want her to be hurt. This is not important,
Mhm.
but it does say something on my behalf.
Mhm.
Because I don't know, he said that when it comes to I found that, and then, like I said before, when I was taking him home from the hospital, all through these first 4 years were horrible with him.
Mhm.
I had to prove myself, I pleased them, I brought them things. I don't have bad feelings about somebody. Ralph told me these things. These are not me coming from me. That's Ralph's mouth. And then, Ralph comes from a very funny family. Sad. You happen to know his background too?
I don't. No.
It would make me feel better if I told you why I understood him, why I took care of him. It's horrible. His brothers were in prison. One shot a sheriff.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. One was an alcoholic. One molested his child. They even had, some of the sisters had sex with their own brothers. Some had 11 children, some had all over. It was really kind of, some of the boys were in, the nephews and stuff. But Ralph's boy is the only one, technically, of the family that made something out of himself. He became very well educated. Ralph did that for him, but he raised him in a different, he left. It was a shame of his family.
Yeah.
And that's why he left.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just important. Now you know why.
Why he took
He
care
never
of
had
him.
a Christmas. His father told me he was a Nazi. His mother never hugged him. They provided for him, but they were children to have raised on the farm too. That's what they did in those
work,
days.
yeah.
Yes, and it's so sad. He never had a Christmas. They never got, when they did thing, they got like one little something, like something, and they had to share it. Something very, I don't know what it would be, like a toy, like a stick toy, but it was for all of them.
Small, yeah.
Something,
yeah.
I'm just going to use as an example. So I wanted, when he asked me, and I said, no, Ralph, I can't take you to my house. I have a career, but I'll give it up. But I have to, but so I ended up giving up my career, and now I'm left with taking care of him because we did it together, and it was hard work to get started and going again. But that's the reason why I took him, because, and when he begged me, and he told everybody he was going, and then he cried, and he came, and they hadn't even come to visit him. They haven't even come to visit him. And I said, why? So I asked Robin at the nursing home. Oh, she said, Fran said he's gay, and he's mean, and she said all these things, and that he's a hypochondriac, he's a crybaby, he can con you into anything you want. What a horrible thing to say about a wonderful man. And then she denies now, saying, oh, he's wonderful, she just didn't want him out of the nursing home. So she couldn't take care of him, that's true. But Ralph could have got assistant living help at his home. They didn't want that. As soon as he was in there, Ralph said they took everything out of his house, and she sold it and took his guns and gave all his stuff, sold his stuff. Well, that's not being compassionate, is it?
No, not at all.
But I got them to change. So we became, her too, it was Ralph, her, and I, but I included all of us and made sure everybody was called every day, and Ralph would, I don't want to talk. Come on, Ralph. And that's where we almost hit the deer that day. But this is what, I know what happened now, and he told me the dog hit me. I couldn't figure out what it was that the dog, but he apparently had tried to get back in bed. Okay, the dog knocked over the stuff when she went over because he had a tray there. So that's where my thing was. So when she landed down, or maybe when Ralph went forward, he might have hit that thing, because my phone went under the bed. His urinal was under the cabinet, and there was urine all over. So then he asked me to do his sheets and stuff, which I did, and I brought him back up and covered him and talked with him for that moment. So whatever it took to dry those sheets, we just put him in for a quick rinse and stuff. And that was the time in between. I was washing his sheets.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add today?
No, but I feel so happy because that's the first thing I said was, he said the dog did it. And I know that, but it's not the dog, it's all of them. They do it. Knock everything down when they get like that, because they get excited when I'm out of the house. They won't do that when I'm in there. And
How long do you think you were out of the house for?
oh, I was out for probably, because I had 2 dogs out, and I have to, they won't go right away, they play.
Mhm.
So I was probably out 20 minutes with that one. And then I was probably out maybe 25 minutes. I don't know how many, I'm just guessing. I
Sure.
probably told you the wrong thing.
Well, I mean,
I
yeah.
probably repeated something else, I don't know. What's that red mark on your face? Over here was like all red, like I could see that here. So, oh, you're gonna get a black eye. I remember saying that to him.
Mhm.
And he said, oh no. I said, well, who did that? He said, the dog did it. And I knew right away what he meant when he did that. Because as soon as I let her in, they were all, and I hollered at him then too. But as soon as I go out that door, they'll tear up. It's unbelievable how he had them so spoiled.
Yeah.
They were like devils. Loved them,
Mhm.
But that is what he meant by the dog.
Okay.
I'm writing big so I can see.
Between October 10th and January 21st, the case went quiet, but not cold. Investigators had their suspicions, and they had hours of interviews to dissect. Clement's timelines didn't match. His stories shifted. His details about where Ralph was, when he fell, how he was found, changed, and contradicted themselves. But with no witnesses and no physical evidence tying him directly to Ralph's death, detectives needed more. So they waited. They let the silence stretch. And while the case sat open, Clement was stewing in it. By January, Clement walked back into the station on his own. Once again, there was no subpoena or lawyer, just a man who couldn't stop talking. This time, the tone was different, less defensive, more tired. He admitted he'd been drinking that night. He admitted things got heated. He started to walk the officers slowly, hesitantly, toward a version of events that sounded a lot closer to the truth. Not quite a confession, but enough to suggest that everything that had happened in that house wasn't just an accident. It was a buildup, and by the end of this final interview, Clement would all but say the quiet part out loud. And once again, he's rambling before he even enters the interrogation room. This time, though, the officer confronts Clement with some hard truths early on in the interview that he doesn't seem to know what to do with.
I'm not well. I've been in bed for 3 days. My heart.
Your heart? What's wrong with your heart?
My heart's been bad for 2 years.
Oh.
That's why when I do something, I can do a few minutes and then I have to sit down, That's why my house went
Come on this way.
7 days. I had Ralph sick and I had me, where I couldn't do much, and then I had that infection. I still have it.
Okay.
See?
Yeah.
It just doesn't stop.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
I hope that everything's just at peace to know that he's at rest.
go ahead and have a seat.
Thank you, sir. Oh, God.
So today, Jim, we're gonna, first off, you're free to go at any time, okay?
Sure.
You're not
No,
under
I don't
arrest
need to
or
do
anything.
anything I'm
Okay.
nothing guilty about.
So-
I did my best.
We're not gonna get off topic today.
Yes.
I don't wanna hear about
No, I'm not gonna say nothing.
Felch, I don't wanna hear about anybody else. We're only here to talk about Ralph,
Yes, and I miss Ralph. He
Okay.
was my life.
so,
I
you
was-
understand you're free to go, though?
Yes,
Okay.
because I wanna.
Okay.
I wanna do this because I wasn't there to save him this time.
Okay.
And I can't live with that. He was my life. I didn't leave him for 2 minutes. For 6 years, I stood on his bedside, saving him. Nobody wanted to save him. They wanted to
Okay.
let him die.
So, you've told me all that, you've
And
told
know,
me,
It's for my own conscience.
I have 32 pages of everything you've told me.
Yes, that was from the
Okay.
day coming up.
So,
The only thing I didn't put in there is that morning, because for a couple days he was saying he's having this terrible pain in his head. We're gonna go do this. I was planning to go to the doctors for myself, and then he said he wanted to go, and I didn't realize what a CAT scan was. When he said CAT scan, I was thinking his heart, because that's what's always been the problem, was his heart. And that's why when he said CAT scan, I didn't know,
okay. So, I got the medical examiner's report now.
Yeah.
Okay, the autopsy report.
Oh,
It's
good.
all right here.
Yeah, and I did, trying to wake him, I did that in front of the
Yeah.
ambulance too, trying to get him awake.
So hold on now,
Yeah.
let's just stop, okay? Let me talk,
Okay.
and then
It's fine. You
I'm
guys
gonna-
have been wonderful.
I'm gonna ask you questions, and
Yeah,
that's where we're gonna go with it, okay?
okay,
Here's what the autopsy, they found out in the autopsy.
yes, okay,
Okay.
I wanna know.
The dogs had nothing to do with this.
Why did he say that then? Did he fall?
The dogs had nothing to do with it, okay? The lamp,
Did it?
you see how high the lamp is?
Yeah,
That's about, that is a little higher than what it was when it was on his dresser, okay?
yeah,
And when I was there, you even laid down on the bed and you showed me
yeah, because he was
Okay.
on the side of the bed.
that is not what did it either.
Oh, was it natural?
No, it's not natural, okay?
Oh, okay,
This is, it's not from whiplash, from slamming on the brakes for the deer, because
Okay.
it's not, and it's not from his head hitting the dashboard, because you told Deputy Benson
yeah,
that you both had your seatbelts on,
yeah, he went forward.
and you never
Like
hit,
this.
so,
And I,
so
and I
that,
caught him from behind when he came back.
okay, so I'm telling you everything that it's not,
Okay,
okay? I will read to you verbatim what the medical examiner said.
yes,
Okay, so just hold on a second. You ready?
ready.
The lesions in the brain are indicative of very significant trauma. While the presence of considerable cardiac disease may have contributed to this man's death, death is believed most likely to be closed head injury based upon the findings of the autopsy. Now, that being said,
Yeah,
there's no could've, there's no anything. What happened, Jim?
yeah.
And I don't know how it happened.
I don't
I'm
either.
hoping you're gonna tell me, because
No, I will, because I
here's,
wasn't outside.
here's,
Yeah. I was
throughout the
outside.
course of the day somewhere, something happened. Now, you have noted in your report, and in this report many times to me, you have told me personally, how mean Ralph was to you.
Well, he would get mean
So-
when he didn't take his pills. No, he wasn't mean to me mean. He would have a panic attack. That's not mean. And I understood that. If I went outside for any amount of time, you know, if I went out for 15 minutes like to mow the lawn, but I always came right back in, he would go to sleep and then he'd wake up and he'd think that somebody threw him in a nursing home, and that's what he would go for. Yes.
So,
Going into the house, that's the point that I was so worried about, is because, see this hand here? I couldn't use this, and this one I had punctured this side, no hands.
Here, as he's done many times before, Jimmy Clement is pointing out how frail he is, how his hands are weak and broken. It's a way of telling the officer that there's no way he could have caused Ralph's head injury. Now, however, the officer has confronted him with the autopsy report, which shows without a doubt that Ralph died of blunt force trauma to the head, a trauma that neither a dog nor a lamp falling from a low night table could cause. And soon, the officer will confront him with one more truth.
so Jim, I don't,
Yeah,
are you a drinker?
I have a drink once in a while. I make a hot toddy at night. Ralph had it one too.
Once in a while?
Well, no, just once, yeah, once in a while.
So,
We're not really.
so listen,
drinkers.
I don't care, okay?
No.
But are you a drunk?
No, no.
Because every time we've talked to you, somebody throughout this whole thing has always smelled alcohol on you. Always.
That was because after that happened, I felt so bad that I had a drink just to relax me, to try to go to sleep. This was after this happened. I had a drink, but otherwise I don't drink hardly at all.
Because, I mean, I could see,
Yeah,
I could
I had a
see,
shock.
hold on, I
Yeah.
could see if you were drinking and you
Yeah.
don't remember something that happened.
No, it was only just a shot in a little, in some, either in tea or honey. It was like a hot toddy. That's what I had to keep me from having I used to kind of more or less a medicinal cough medicine. We had that maybe, Ralph had it too. We had it once in a while, maybe, we had one of those maybe for a week.
So then how did this happen to Ralph? You have told me many times in here that you hope we don't think you did it. You
Well, I
hope
hope
Fran
don't-
doesn't think
no,
you did
I
it.
hope that they don't think.
Here's the
that
problem
my
we
bumping-
have.
No, but me bumping him could have done that.
Here's the
and I
problem we
couldn't
have.
ruin myself.
It's not a bumping thing.
Isn't it?
No. In here, they said it would take at least 30 pounds of force.
Really? What did he hit? Did he fall on the floor?
I want you to tell me.
I don't know. I was outside. In
If he
fact-
fell on the floor and hit his head like that,
Yeah.
you would have come in and he would have still been on the floor.
No,
There's
he-
no way he could have got up.
He claimed he was on. I don't understand.
Because you tell me all the time how you would have to pick him up and move him all the time because he couldn't walk.
He could stand up there. When I went out the door.
Well, see, that's not what you told me
Well, no.
before.
When I went out the first time to the door, he asked me to feed the cat. So I went and got his cat runs to him, and he feeds him by the lamp. And she came up there and he said, "Would you get me my cat food?" So I went and got the cat food, put it on there, and when I went out the door, he stood up. He could stand up.
Why didn't you tell me that before? Why did you never
Because I
mention that
didn't think
before?
about that, because I thought about that afterwards. And he got up, and I remember thinking, geez, he's got such bull legs. He's a
Because
6 foot
you say in here all the time that you wouldn't let him do that. You wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
So why wouldn't you go back and help him sit back down?
No, it didn't. He got up, and I told him not to do that, so he sat back down. He did sit there.
So the point
I
here.
thought I put that in there.
The point here is this isn't. It's getting to the point now. We're so far into this where it's not looking good.
No, I know.
That's why I ask if you
No,
if you
and
were
then I was-
drinking
no,
and maybe.
No, we didn't have anything there after that.
Hold
We
on.
came
here.
home.
Hold on. So if you I want you to be quiet for a second, okay?
Oh, I will.
If you were drinking
Wasn't drinking.
and something happened,
Yeah.
okay, and maybe you don't remember it, that's one thing, and that's fine.
We had a drink together.
So
Yeah.
So Jim, I just want to know, did you do something to him accidentally that you don't know, that maybe you don't remember?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. When I was bringing him through the door,
That didn't do it.
that didn't do it.
That didn't do it.
Oh, and the only thing that I could think of was that he had. When I went outside, I did tell him, "Ralph, don't stand up. I'll take care of you when I get in." And he said, "Okay." And then he said that he was. I came in. I said hi to Mike Walagurski outside. It was kind of late, and each dog took like probably 15, 20 minutes before that, and then there was.
But you say that you never left his side. You said right here, I would not let him out of my sight.
No, then I did, but that day I had to. I was out with the dogs. The dogs
But
were.
why? If
They were peeing. Well, he was peeing.
but
I
if
got
you
him back
didn't
in bed.
want but if you didn't want Ralph up, if you're telling me that Ralph stood up after you were started to go outside, why
Well,
didn't
he
you?
was sitting up when I went out.
So okay,
He
so
had
now you're
finished
telling
He had
me.
finished urinating.
So now you're telling me he sat up.
Well, he is sitting up. He always does that. We're gonna get ready for supper. I'm gonna make something.
You
for
know.
supper.
Here's where we're at. Okay.
I know, and I don't.
I know what I believe happened.
Well, I don't know what happened. I was outside. I came in. When I came in, he was laying on his side like
When I
that.
asked you what did this to him, you know what you told me?
What?
The lamp.
I thought, no, he was holding the lamp. Okay, and he was laying on the bed.
Have a seat.
Wait, can I show you?
No, just have a seat.
Okay.
I can
He was
picture it.
laying on the bed because his bed is this way, and he was laying on the bed.
Sit, James.
Okay.
Have a seat.
Okay, and he had his hand up.
Have a seat.
Okay, he had his hand up, and he was holding the lamp was like part way off, and I said, "What happened?" And he said, the dogs were running through the house, and they knocked everything over. They pulled the like curtains down.
So that's not what killed him. Every time you try to get us to sympathize with you,
I didn't want you to sit
listen,
there. I missed
listen.
him.
Stop
Yes,
interrupting
okay.
me, please.
Yeah.
So every time, and everyone has noticed this. Everybody that's talked to you have noticed this.
Well, I'm so sad.
that you don't cry.
I cry all the time.
You don't cry in
I
front of
cry
us.
24
You try
hours.
to. You have this dramatic,
No.
like you're starting to cry, and then there's no tears.
Well, because I'm just flabbergasted.
That's
I'm
not-
shocked.
that's not a
There was
reason-
a shock when everybody
Listen.
came to the house. I never expected
Listen,
anything
but
like
that's
that.
not. It's not the only time.
I
that's not the only
ask,
time.
Ask the people in town. I go shopping, I cry the whole time. I just recently.
You're taking care of someone for 6 years.
I'm not taking care of him. He was on his own.
24 hours a day. You said you took care of him.
No, I helped him.
24 hours a day. You never left his side.
I went his side. We did music. I made everything around him. I took him for rides every day for him. But we were partners in our house. He wouldn't let me put the house in his name too.
I'm trying to, how do I put it? I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes as to, you took care of him. And you can call it what you want, but he's 92. You took care of him, okay?
No,
you have told me,
listen,
you have told me many times that you spent 6 years giving him everything.
But he gave me it too.
You gave him life when everybody wanted to unplug him
Yes.
and all this other stuff, okay? So listen, what I'm trying to tell you is that I understand. Taking care of someone for 6 years, you're going to get pissed off at them. They're going to do things. You're going to get mad.
No, I was.
You're
hurt.
gonna.
When he would stand, I cried and I would call Fran.
You're going to hit him. You're going to do things. It's going to happen.
I never hit
It's
him.
going to happen.
But I didn't hit him.
You've never hit Ralph?
No.
Never
Just-
once.
Just like this.
Never one time.
No. And the only thing I tried to get his teeth out, and then his lip cracked.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this. One time, did you dump a bucket of ice water over top of him while he's sitting in his wheelchair?
No, who said that? Who said that?
Jim, you got one chance here to tell me the truth. So
Ice? What's that about? I never did an ice bucket on him. Who said that?
why would Ralph call people and tell them that?
He never called.
Why would Ralph call and tell people that you abuse him?
He didn't tell people that.
Yes, he did.
Who did he tell that to?
He made many calls about it.
No, he didn't.
So why would he do that?
No, he never.
How do you know?
Because I was always with him.
Always?
I phoned the phone for him and gave it to him.
You were always with him.
Always.
You never let him use his own
No.
phone?
He had his phone, but when we were outside, he didn't know how to dial it. I would dial his phones for him and say, "You talk right now about your family, and I'm going to go outside." Ralph told everybody that his wife abused him. He told them his son abused him. He told everybody abused him
How
when he
could-
didn't get his way, when he had panic attacks. And then he'd get very upset
So
if I
you're
wasn't
telling
there.
you're telling me that you didn't do that?
No.
And that you've never abused him?
No, I cared for him and told him not to do something. Ralph, you can't do this. If you fall down, you're going to break your legs. You're on blood thinners.
Jim, I just find it hard to believe that
Yes.
you make it
I got
seem
angry
like
at him. We had arguments, but it was for his health.
you make it
wasn't for
seem
that.
like you're it's
No,
a
I
woe
wasn't.
me. It's
No,
a
I
hang
hollered at
on,
him.
hang on. It's a woe me.
No.
I'm doing everything I can to help everyone, and I just get shit on.
No.
That's how it's in
No.
here.
I told Ralph when we had normal relationship when he would get up sometimes and then he would go up and I'd say, "Ralph, I'm outside right now. Please don't do that." And then I come in and he's almost laying on the floor. So it takes me umpteen times to get up to pull him up.
So there you go. You just said it. When he's on the floor, it takes you to get him up.
Oh my God, it's
So
horrible.
how? Right. So how?
So I have
on
to holler at him
So
to
listen.
get up.
How the hell do you expect me to believe? I'm trying, Jim. I'm trying to
I
believe
know.
you.
I really
How do you
don't.
expect me to believe that he fell on the floor now? This is your fifth story
No, I
as
don't
to
know
how
if
this
he
could have
fell on
happened.
the floor. Could he have? Why was he laying
30
halfway on the bed and
30
holding
pounds,
it?
at least 30 pounds or greater. So you know what that tells me? Somebody hit him with something.
Hit with something.
That's what that tells me.
Well, how could it be hit with something? There
He
was
could be
nothing
hit with
there.
anything.
Why couldn't the dogs have done that when they're flying up through the bed?
Because that's not going to happen. They cannot generate that kind of force.
Well, why did he say that? Did you see the dog, the big dog? I
Yeah.
got rid of her right away. I got rid of her because I was so upset I couldn't even look at her.
That big dog, it even,
was-
let's just say that dog ran up onto that couch with all that shit on it, then onto that dresser with all that shit on it, and knocked the lamp over. Let's just say that happened.
Yeah.
Okay? It would still, which I find very hard to believe that it would even happen because it's such a big dog,
Yeah.
it would still not generate enough force for that to kill him, for that to hit his head and cause
I'm
that.
not saying that he hit with the lamp.
Jim,
I'm
Jim,
just telling you,
hold
wait a
on,
minute.
hold
I asked
on.
you, could the lamp have hit it? Could he had it? I
Hold
didn't know
on.
it was half on.
When I asked you what hit him, What could have done this? What did
And I
this?
said that.
You said this.
Because he was holding it.
What did this? You said that lamp.
The officer then brings out autopsy photos of Ralph's body.
Did something here.
No, I didn't.
I'm going to show you
Honest to God.
something.
I would get mad at him when he didn't do things like this, my poor guy. Oh,
Look at
eye.
his eye. Look at his face.
Oh,
Look at his
wow.
chin. You think, and you're going to sit here and tell me you think dogs did this to him?
Well, how did that end up there? That wasn't. I don't know how he's black and blue. He must have fallen
When?
when I was outside. When I came in. That's the way
Okay,
he was,
okay,
he
so
could
I'll,
get back
listen,
up.
I'll piggyback off that and I'll say, okay, he did fall. Let's just say he fell. Ralph at 92 years old and he hits that hard,
Yeah.
his ass is not getting off the ground without someone helping him.
Yeah. Well, he had this before.
Had what before?
Some of those black and blue marks.
Why?
Because the dogs were jumping on him,
Jim.
and he had hit his
Jim.
he had hit his head. I had
Here,
I
let me show you
slapped
this
him
now.
and slapped him
Let me show you this. Do
to get awake. What's that?
you know what that is?
No.
Do you know what the autopsy is telling me and the medical examiner? There's one on each side of his neck and the
One
one on
was
the
holding him up when I was trying to wake him up.
Why would you not tell me you grabbed him by the neck?
I did grab him by the neck.
You didn't tell me you did that.
Yes, I had to hold his head up, and I was trying to hold him up, and I couldn't. I was trying to get him out of bed, and I shook his head
Why?
to wake him up.
Why would you grab someone like this? Not with two hands.
Yeah.
Like this. Why would you grab someone like this
Because
by
I
the neck?
had him like this.
By the neck?
No, hand here, I was trying to pull him up to get him into the
Jim,
wheelchair.
Jim, we're getting off point here.
But-
This is on his neck.
That's where I was holding him.
Why?
His head was coming
Why
down.
in the hell would you hold someone by the neck like that when they can't? That's going to make it to where they can't breathe.
No, I was. That might have been even when I was trying to get his jaw open.
So listen, you keep changing where you held him. It doesn't
No.
matter. I have bruises to
What is
show
this
me.
from?
There's
Oh no, that's from the.
there's many bruises,
And that's from
I'm
lifting him up.
listen. I'm inclined to believe where all these bruises came from. When you tell me the dogs jumped on him, when I'm inclined to believe that, but I'm telling you right now, I don't believe the dogs did this because the medical
Oh, my
examiner is telling me
God.
they didn't, and I don't believe the dogs did this.
I
And I
have-
want to know why, Jim. I
What
want to
is
know
it?
why. This is your fingerprint.
Yes, I'm trying to hold him up. I tried to get him out of bed. I'm holding on to him. I got him into the wheelchair.
Why would you grab someone by the neck like this? This is how you grabbed him.
No,
This is
I'm
Jim.
gonna show you.
Jim,
I
sit down.
lifted him
Have a
up.
seat.
Yeah, but I lifted.
This is how you did it. You know
No.
why this is how you did it? Because that's what the evidence shows. It shows on this side and that side a perfect measurement of a hand doing this. Nothing
I
else.
don't understand that. I don't remember.
What do you
that.
mean?
I mean,
Okay,
but
so
I
let's.
remember. I remember.
So
no,
let's-
I remember trying. He was already unconscious. This is like 2:30 in the morning.
So why would you grab him by the neck?
Because I pulled him up this way. I had his head was going back, so I picked him up. I told you that in there. I picked him up.
The
and I
marks
had him
don't
by
show
the
that
neck.
because there's a fingerprint on this side and thumb on the other, which would only mean that your right hand grabbed him by the neck.
No, when he was.
So, if you don't remember doing this,
No.
that's fine, but that's what we're trying to get
I
at.
was trying to get him, and I remember when he was laying in bed, I waked him up, and I thought, geez, he's not breathing right. And then I thought he's sleeping, because when I woke him up at 1 o'clock, he said he was. I don't remember what time this was when all this happened. We came home late.
Jim,
And
I'm telling you what the evidence is telling me.
could that have been when I took him out of the car?
Let's not say could have anymore because
know.
it doesn't. I'm telling you what happened. You grabbed him. Here's the things we do know. You grabbed him by the neck with one hand.
Could that have been when
That happened.
Could that take him out of the? I took him out of the car, and I have to bend his head.
But why? Why would you grab someone by the? This is how you did that.
That was trying to get his teeth out.
You grabbed him by the throat.
No, I had this way, and I was going like this, trying to get his mouth open. I remember doing that. I said that to you, and his lip was bleeding.
You
and I
never
kept-
said any of this to me.
Oh, well, that's what I told that. Oh, at the hospital, I told them I tried to get their teeth out. That's what
You
I
didn't
told
tell them that either.
them. Yeah, I did.
I have their report too.
No, I said, she asked me if I got his teeth, and I said no.
Jim, they put everything down. Okay,
Yes,
and that
and
never.
I didn't even
that
know
never
it had
came up.
anything to do with his head. I thought.
So I'm going to tell you what I think happened. You want to hear what I think
I
happened?
really want to know.
I think that Ralph was probably on you about something.
No, he wasn't.
Listen, you asked what I think now.
Yes.
I want to tell you, and I don't want
Yeah.
you to say anything until
Yes.
I'm done. Okay? Not a word.
Yes.
I think you got mad at Ralph for something.
No?
You were talking again, Jim.
Okay.
Listen, I think you got mad at Ralph for something. I don't know that you remember doing it, but I think you grabbed Ralph, because this is what the evidence shows me. While Ralph was laying in bed, you grabbed him by the neck, and you took your other hand and you hit him with that lamp in the head.
I did not. I wasn't even near that lamp.
That's what I think happened.
No,
But
everything was fine.
The timeline doesn't match up, Jim.
I know.
Confronted with photos, the officer tells him what he thinks. Now that the officer's theory is out in the open, it's time for more denials from Clement. Until
Why are you so worried about people thinking you did it?
I'm not worried. I felt guilty because I wasn't in the house when it all happened.
You
I
are
couldn't
worried,
say
though.
much.
You have said to me many times, I hope they don't think I did this.
Well, no.
I hope Fran doesn't think I did this. I hope his kids don't think I did this. I hope you guys don't think
Yeah.
I did this. How many times have you said that to me?
And
I bet if I went in
yeah,
here and
I told
looked,
that
there's
friend,
at least
yeah,
20.
because I live a guilt trip. I'm always worried about what other people think about me. And that's how I am.
So I understand if you don't want to tell me that you drink
I did have a drink that night. We both had drinks.
more than one.
I had 2 drinks.
Did you have more than 2?
No. When we came home, I said, Ralph, I'm gonna have make a hot toddy, and I mixed it with tea and water because I wasn't feeling well.
Jim, I just gotta tell you, man, I do
nowadays, but after Ralph died,
I don't
then
believe-
just
I don't
thought it would-
believe that.
It just would make me feel better if I had a drink, so I had one a day, and then sometimes I wouldn't have it.
I don't believe what you're telling me. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't believe.
Yeah, Ralph and I always had a drink, and sometimes I said, Ralph, we don't really want to drink because it gave me, I get sick to my
So,
stomach and cause
Here's
my-
the thing now, okay?
Yeah. I want to know what happened to him, and
So do I, but I know what happened to him.
I don't know what happened to him.
I do,
That
and I
is-
wasn't even there. You know how I know that?
Why?
Because of all this evidence. That's how I know. Because medical professionals have told me what happened.
But I don't know what happened. Did they think that lamp hit him?
Something hit him. Something hit him with enough force to cause that brain bleed in his head.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. That dog was so strong.
It's not the dog, Jim.
I
Let's
thought
get off
the
the
dogs
dog.
knocked
Hey,
the lamp over.
hey, let's get off the dog. Let's
Yeah.
get off the dog. Let's get off the cat. Let's get off all the
And
animals.
this probably came when I was trying to get him up, and I was holding him up. Ralph, come on.
Why would you grab someone by the neck?
I had him by the hand. I was trying to pull him up, and I reached up because I thought he was going to get up, and I tried to wake him up.
Do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Do this all the way
No,
as
I
far
had-
as you can.
I
Do this
had
to
him-
yourself
no.
and push up.
I
And
had
what's
him-
going to happen?
I had him here. I was panicked. I thought, oh my God, and the phones wouldn't work. I wanted to call the ambulance. I wanted to call the ambulance earlier when he was acting funny, and he said, no, I'm not going.
So Jim, listen, this is your one chance.
Was there a weakness there
No,
in the brain?
no.
Well, I don't get it.
His brain is fine. His head was fine.
Oh, I don't know.
Something
All I know,
hit him hard enough that would have to be propelled by more than a dog.
well, that's what I'm telling you.
The dogs didn't do it.
That I must have done that when I opened the door and smacked him so hard. I did. I hit him. I did. I said, Ralph, you can't do this.
How hard do you think you hit him?
Oh, I hit him hard.
I want you to elbow the table as hard as you think you hit
Well,
him.
no, I have to show you how I did it from that angle. I must have hit him I bet you I hit him in the face even, because I didn't think nothing of it. He said it was fine. And I'm over there trying to fix the door here and get the door open. So I got the door open, pulled the screen over there, and when I said, Ralph, we'll have to go in pretty quick, and I hollered at the dogs, and I turned around real quick to grab, and I didn't know he was behind me because I was gonna grab his
Why did you
pistol.
turn around like that? Why would you turn around like that?
Because I had this in here, and I had to turn around because he was right there. I turned around because that's the way I turned, to get his wheelchair. His wheelchair was right here.
I don't know that you would turn with enough force to do this.
Oh, I did. I know I did. I hit him hard. I banged him with my arm. Yes. And all I know is what happened on his neck was when I was trying to revive him in bed. I was trying to get him up, wake him up. He wouldn't wake up. And I'd fallen asleep for a while. and that rocking chair that I put out on the porch. I only put that out because I had to get him out of the house, and that was in the way. No, I'm serious, I did not. It was not that. I actually thought it was the lamp that the
It's
dogs
not the
had.
lamb. I'm telling you right now.
No, you told me that. No,
It's
that's
not
what
the
I thought
lamb,
it was.
it's not the dogs, it's not the car, it's not while you were in the car, it has
Yes.
nothing to do with that.
Yes.
So, if you did that, you're not doing it on purpose.
No.
But Jim, something's not adding up here.
Finally, the officer asked him to think about the amount of time that passed between when Clement accidentally hit Ralph and when the ambulance came. It's one of the only times in this entire saga that Clement actually stops talking, and the silence speaks volumes.
Say anything. I want you to think in your head, okay, I hit him here. This is when I had to get to the ambulance. And I want you to give me how many hours that was. In your own head, be quiet as you do it. I will give you as much time as you need, okay?
Okay, I would probably think.
Jim, I
I'm
just
trying to
said do it
think.
quietly.
Okay.
I got to think myself, so I need you to be quiet over there. Just think about it, okay?
Trying to recollect that night.
Jim?
I don't know. I remember,
Why would you have no idea how long that was?
oh, what do you mean, from when that happened?
Yeah.
That was about an hour and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
Because I'd already come back, maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour.
Hold on a second here.
Okay.
Okay.
In the end, it wasn't forensics that sealed James Clement's fate. It was his own mouth. Over months of voluntary interviews, he couldn't stop talking. He spun out explanations, rewrote timelines, contradicted himself, and finally admitted what prosecutors had suspected all along, that he hit Ralph Sherman in the face, twice, that he panicked, that he had a drink after he did it. The jury didn't buy the fantasy. They listened to the body cam footage, the shifting stories, the thinly veiled contempt for Ralph's family. And they saw a man who had spent months trying to explain away something he couldn't walk back. On January 19th, 2025, Clement was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and lying to police. Not guilty of murder, but guilty enough. The judge handed down a sentence of 54 months to 15 years. It could have been worse. It could have been shorter. But what no one in that courtroom could deny was this. James Clement walked into the police station over and over, trying to clear his name. Instead, he talked himself straight into a prison cell.